back there. Like, it's been a whole year. This is it. This is EU5. It's what we thought it was. It's a pleasant semi-surprise. Anyway, he goes on to say, today we will be talking about Brandenburg and the main tag that it can form, Prussia. Therefore, today is even more special for two reasons. The first is that this is the first country that we talk about in which the content for the base country and the formable is aligned, as it is the historical result. In this category, we have few more important countries such as England, Great Britain, or Castile, Spain. I've heard that England has over 100 special events, or just tons of content, right? Absolutely ludicrous. Other countries in EU5 have just so much content. It's insane. All the videos I'm watching, I will have to say the Paradox community is amazing, because all the YouTubers who got the access to the video game, EU5 early access, they have been making superb content, like Ludi, for example, or Lord Lambert, or what's his name? Red Hawk. I think that was his name. I think he made a content video about it too. There's so many more. I don't know why. I'm only good at remembering L names. I don't know why. The second is because we have considered Brandenburg, Prussia, one of the relevant tags in the period, and thus it has more baseline content than the previous one so far. We've only taken a look previously to one tag of that category, the Timords. You may have noticed that it was a long and meaty TF. Oh, yeah. The Electorate of Brandenburg. I like this. I like the art. The character design is good. I know some people who have expressed discontent with the characters in the game. It's not their favorite aspect. They don't like how the hair looks sometimes. They feel like they remade the characters from scratch unnecessarily. Like, they didn't have to. They could have used CK3 or Vicky 3 assets and improved upon it, right? It doesn't feel like that when you look at the character assets. It just kind of feels cheap. I think my biggest gripe is that, like, it's kind of like with any game. If you're gonna make it a 3D character, you gotta give them a whole lot of customization, right? You can't just give them 40 hairstyles to, like, alternate with each character, because you're gonna end up with 4 characters who have had the same hair, and it just gives you like is this the same guy? Now, historically, it's kind of like that, right? I mean, historically, rulers have not really had, I mean, at least in this time period, right? Like, crazy different hair. Sometimes it was good to replicate hairstyle as your previous ruler, right? But I don't know, like, just I feel like we should be overwhelmed with asset content with characters, right? If they're gonna go down this route. This guy is not that great of a ruler from what I've seen. 33 Diplo, I think that's administration, 50 Diplo, and 66 military. Is not that great. We got 42% of the population here to be Brandenburgish. It's always cool to see the graphs of pops. 99 is Catholic, and 0.04 is Jewish. I just realized this now after watching a bunch of content videos. This is actually the literal number of pops, like person to person. This does not represent a simple game mechanic. It represents the actual whole total of the population in that area. There were actual 915,000 Catholics there, right? That's kind of crazy to me. Now, it's probably not, like, you can't be historically accurately perfect with that, but it's just kind of, it gives you that immersion that, like, these are real people, right? It's not just like a number that represents a certain, like a predicted amount of number, like 5, because it roughly represents this certain amount of population. This is exactly the population, and I like that. It's kind of not. It's like the opposite of Stellaris with their new pop system, right? They give you like 5K a planet, a pop. What does that mean? I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's not just 5,000 people on my goddamn planet, because that makes no sense. If I'm playing the UN and my pop is 5,000, then there must have been an apocalypse or something. It just, and I don't even. I think that, okay, sorry, I'm just venting from Stellaris. I like the new update they have. It's great. It's just I want them to better articulate how many people are on my planet. Does 5,000 represent 5 billion, 5 trillion? I don't know. I'm not. That was frustrating. But back to EU5, right? So they give us some pictures here, and as you're watching, if you have watched my previous 3 videos, you're probably like, wow, as I'm scrolling and talking, it's actually correlating. So that's a pretty big upgrade. I like to think it is. I fixed it. My resolution was simply too high. My computer probably couldn't have rendered it as good as I wished it could. I don't have the best computer. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is a picture of the game, right? When I say the game, I'm not talking about just the political map mode, but this is the graphics map mode. From my previous video, you might have been asking yourself, what the fuck is Roser talking about the specific dots or the symbols that represent cities, because you couldn't see my mouse moving on them and talking about it. I will now. As you can see, there's a symbol here. What does that mean? Is there some significant importance to that? If so, then I think that's very cool, right? So if you're colonizing a new country, you're creating a new country within this game. You as the player get to decide what is the most important city moving forward in history in that country, right? Say you colonize Mexico, and you decide Mexico City is not the most important, but some city on the coast is, right? If you like, can you name the city, right? Oh, I also wonder, okay, this is a little bit different, right? But yeah, my mind just fills with like questions. If another cultural group, like Ireland, for example, or the Netherlands, right, colonize Mexico, will they be able to create unique, distinct names for that region that we wouldn't have seen? Maybe stuff from not science fiction, but just like fiction overall, like different alternate history literatures that have existed and where they've created names for that kind of route. Do they show up in the game? If so, that would be incredible. If you understand what I'm saying, slap a like. If you don't, just comment and say, hey, Roser, explain what you meant by this, and I will get back to you. But I don't know. Like, imagine if Poland colonized Brazil, right? Well, does Brazil have in its literature or culture or religion like mythical lands that's like considered the promised land? If you took a big journey like Vinland for like for Scandinavia, do they have that? If so, could that South American colony have that name? Is there like a Polish version of South America that I just don't really know about? There's so many questions. I wonder if they're going to implement EU5. I hope they do. It's a big task. Anyway, back to the map. It's beautiful, as you can see. It's pretty. It's kind of hard, really, to say like what they should improve upon. From what I've heard, the Paradox devs at Tinto have gotten responses saying that the people who are responding to them are saying that they want the buildings to be a little bit smaller. I don't really mind. I kind of like how they look. I don't care if they do become smaller. It looks good regardless. Doesn't matter to me, right? It's whatever. I mean, just looking at this photo alone, nothing bad. Yeah, no, there's really nothing bad. There's not much more you can ask for. I mean, it just looks pretty. It's just what the Earth looks like, I guess. Like, it looks great, honestly. I like the colors. I like the borders. I mean, I like the map. It's just so, it makes me want to play. Like, I've been watching so many of these content videos, it makes me want to play. And then here's another view from Brandenburg. Brandenburg's pretty big. I don't know the history of Brandenburg. I'm probably going to try to read up on Brandenburg. Watch some history videos, you know. Watch some, like, relevant historical videos around this time to get to learn. Because I don't remember. Maybe I do, but I don't remember anything about Brandenburg. Well, the Margravity? Margravit? Okay. That word, right? It's a government reform, and it increases the noble estate satisfaction, which is very important from what I've heard, right? In this game, there are different... It's like EU4 in the sense that there are nobles, the noble estate, the clergy, the burghers, and the peasants, right? Very important to pick and choose who you want to keep happy. I'm not sure if there's a meta yet, but yeah, this is part of that, right? I guess this government reform makes the nobility happy, but it makes army maintenance. It also makes army maintenance cheaper. It's a pretty good reform. There's like no cons to this. Right to inherit is an estate privilege. I'm guessing this is probably pertaining to nobility. Yeah, that is a symbol. +5, and I think that's +5. Yeah, that just means +5 happiness towards the nobility to grant it to them. +50% lightning rod. I don't know what that means. Maybe that means instability. Monthly progress to aristocracy. Okay, +10%. I think that's when they talk about aristocracy here, right? I think they're mentioning the ethos system for EU5. I talked about that earlier in a couple of my videos, but they have like 9 or 10 like different like ethos. One of them is individualism and communalism. The other is like just idea and the opposite idea, right? And each of these ideas you can favor and grants you like bonuses. And there's really no meta at the moment. From what I know, I don't think there is like the best like pick and choose, but it seems like a pretty cool mechanic. Stability investment cost -20% here. Okay, it seems like just a regular estate privilege. This one is the Magdeburg rights estate privilege. This is probably for the burghers. Okay. +5 happiness, +40%. I don't know what that means. Trade capacity is +10%. That's huge because from what I hear, trade is very overpowered right now in the game. It is not the age of traditions. It is not the age of Renaissance. It is not the age of discovery. Okay, so this only lasts for a certain amount of a certain age, I think, right? Bergden. This is policy of the mining law. Expand mining cost 20%. Funding town cost -20%. I guess this is just a regular policy. I wonder if this is are these unique policies and estate privileges for Brandenburg? I wonder, or am I stupid and that's not true? Here are some of the unique advances of both. Okay, so I just got my question answered. It probably is unique because up here it probably is going to say unique. Okay, never mind. Anyway, this is apparently unique. Now they're talking about the advanced mechanic, That's separate from the etho mechanics and the other mechanics we were talking about, policy and all that. Here it says expansive policies available in the age of tradition. The Cesis belly creation speed would be plus 25%. From what I hear, I don't know how that works, because the Cesis belly creation, apparently, I don't think you can create a Cesis belly, or it's harder to. I hear that a lot of the players who played the game typically didn't have a Cesis belly when they declared war. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that, and I might be wrong, but that's what I know. I mean, that's what I've heard from all the videos, right? Moving down here, the next advance is Soldiers of the Fortune. It says higher mercenary premium cost minus 10%. That's probably huge, because mercenaries are, from what I've seen and what I'm guessing, and probably makes the most sense, the meta in war. The war system is the war system is very fleshed out. Let's just say that, right? A very basic rundown of the war system in EU5 is that if you raise an army, your army in the beginning will be filled with levies. When you have levies, your levies are also part of your regular population that does your regular work. Once you get your levies killed in battle, they are not going to be able to do the same work that they were doing before they were dead, right? When they were alive. So when they're dead and you win the war and it's over, you're going to have less people doing the jobs, which means there's going to be less trade and less money for you, and it's going to be a hit. At least I think, right? The way to avoid that, of course, is if you have a killer trade and you're making tons of money, you can buy mercenaries, and mercenaries will come and say you want a piece of land because you want to expand that for your trade or political reasons, or you just want that territory, right? You hire mercenaries. Guess what? Your mercenaries are not working a pizza restaurant at Roma, right? They are not selling couches or TVs, right? They're not doing any of that. What they are doing is sitting on their ass waiting for someone to call and be like, we have a couple of ducats, would you like to come kill people for us? That is what they're doing, right? They're not providing for your economy, they are taking from your economy. So as soon as you buy them, they will say, all right, boss, we're coming to you. They come to you, you get to order them around, you get to kill them all if you want, use them however you like, I'm guessing. And when half of them die, inevitably, but they get their money, you get to shoo them away, and your pizza shop is still open for the weekend. You get to order some pizza still, and they get to make money. Your economy still is A-okay. Which is... makes sense, because that's kind of how wars did work back then. If you fought a big war and you got half your population killed because of it, I think your country is not going to work. I don't think you're going to have a country. It's going to face a collapse or some type of political crisis, right? And that makes sense, and that should be in the game. The next advance is found the Kremmergurki. Man, I really wish I knew different languages, because I have no idea what that means. I don't know how to pronounce that. Which is just another advance. Gets tax efficiency plus 10%. The Gearham Rutfer Darmak, I think I tried to say something in German, is another advance in Age of Reformation, apparently. The noble estate satisfaction and burger estate satisfaction is plus 5% at 2%, 0.5. That's great. Army professionalism plus 10%. This is the age of absolutism. The goose step, which is plus 20% in infantry power, age of revolutions. All good, all cool. I can't wait to play, because then I actually understand and get a better feel of how these advances like play, how good they are. Just reading it, I'm not really quite sure how much of an impact they have in the game. I'm not even sure what the fuck an advance is. I think that's part of the mission tree. I'm not sure. Could be part of the tech tree. Yes, there is a tech tree in EU5. If you don't know about it, I might make a video about it actually. As soon as EU5 comes out, which looks like it's gonna be half a year maybe. If I'm gonna place a bet, I originally thought it was going to be September. I'm going to say, I'm just gonna put it out there, okay? Here's my prediction. Paradox, please don't see this, because if you do see it, you would definitely move it, even though like I have no subscribers. I just have a feeling you would. I think it's September. I think the game is coming out September. A lot of people think it's going to be Christmas or November. Games love to reveal themselves in May or June and release in September. That's just kind of a thing that goes on in the game industry. I'm not sure why. I'm assuming it's because it gives them a couple months to market for the game and all that. But September is a hot cake for game releases. So I'm just gonna predict September. It totally could be December. Don't take my word for anything. Don't get your hopes up. Let's move on. He goes on to say, let's now take a look at the narrative content, which is quite meaty. I hope so. This is one of the first starting events for Brandenburg. The event goes on to say, the von Wischmuch of Brandenburg. I think that's how you say it. In the background, there's a bunch of angry nobles. I mean, what the hell did this guy do to make them all angry? He's breaking his sword, or cane, or something. They're really pissed. So, Elector Ludwig is facing this situation, right? With the death of the last member of the Eschknar of Brandenburg, Elector Heinrich II, Eschknar, in the 1320, the Brandenburg lands fell in the hands of the Holy Roman Emperor Ludwig IV, I think. Either the 4th or the 6th, I forgot how that order works. Von Wittelsbach, the elected emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, in order to keep the northern German territory administrated, Holy Roman Emperor Ludwig IV or VI assigned the Brandenburgian March to his son, Elector Ludwig von Wittelsbach. This is the start of the von Wittelsbach era of Brandenburg, and a period of trouble as the elector was placed as ruler at a young age, leaving much of the government in the hands of Count Berthold V, the wise von Henryberg. Robber barons, economic issues, and general discontent of the population, and blah blah blah. Goes on to say, Brandenburg will prevail. I hope so, because I would feel bad for this guy if it didn't, if it added tragedy. This is an event option. The event's option is, of course, called Brandenburg will prevail. You lose 50 legitimacy, and we gain Wittelsbacher neglect forever. This modifier is active until we are no longer ruled by von Wittelsbach, or until the event the von Wittelsbach's that allies Brandenburg fires. In order to achieve this event, we must reach a Wittelsbacher investment score of 10, currently negative 15. We will receive events which allow us to move the score in either direction. At negative 20, the event the neglect of Brandenburg becomes eligible to fire, removing the von. Okay. So I'm guessing historically this guy was either a bad ruler or he goes on to be a bad ruler. Maybe the old history here is that you can make him a good ruler, or make it at least satisfactory to the people, or the political elite. Wittelsbach neglect, minus 20% max control. That's horrible, because then you're not making you're getting really dog shit taxes, I'm guessing. Monthly control is minus 0.05%. That's really bad. It's not horrible, I guess. It's maybe really bad as a stretch. It's bad. It's not good. Monthly legitimacy is minus 0.02. Just not good stats. Not good stats at all. If you start off as Brandenburg, you're definitely going to try and probably get rid of this guy, because this is not feasible for a long run game. If you neglect this, you have to get rid of this event. Slightly painful, yeah. He goes on to say, as you see, there are around 30 events that may be triggered after this, of varied topics that impact the governance of Brandenburg in the first decades of the game. One of the most interesting ones are those related to the false Waldemar event chain. As no emperor of the Holy Roman Empire is connected to the ruling von Wittelsbach anymore, the legitimacy of Elector Ludwig von Wittelsbach is once again in question. Okay, so the emperor, you put him there, is gone. And maybe the event you did, you handled it, right? I'm guessing this guy right here is this guy. Maybe? No, he has a different name. He's definitely this guy. Yeah. Why did I think that? Okay, my bad. Anyway, right. The emperor he put us there is gone. The people of Brandenburg yearn for the years of the Eschern rule. As fate wishes so, the presumed to be dead Waldemar Escher has made his arrival public. Where the fuck has he been? If he's been presumed to be dead, he's just been hiding. He was waiting. He was waiting for his EU5 reveal. Imagine being the EU5 reveal of your decade. You come out and people react to you like you're a new game. Holy shit. And it's pretty hype, right? Claiming that his funeral was just staged in favor of his pilgrimage to the Holy Land. That's a great way to get a vacation, I guess. Waldemar has returned to claim the Brandenburgian throne from Elector Ludwig. I feel like it's very irresponsible use of your power, right? Just to give it up to just do something like go to a holy site and come back, or like you're risking a civil war. It's not like the guy's just gonna give up power. Which, of course, it's ridiculous, right? Anyway, fortunately, the relations between Holy Roman Emperor Ludwig the Fourth or Sixth von Wittelsbach and Elector Ludwig are benevolent. Okay. As such, the Holy Roman Emperor supports the House of von Wittelsbach against the Pretender. Good. I support this guy. I believe in his political redemption. Or no, that's the Emperor. I believe in the Elector. Ludwig. They both have the same name, so maybe they're best friends. Execute the Pretender ourselves. Advocate to the true ruler of Brandenburg. Contact the Holy Roman Emperor. I don't think you should trust a guy that looks that way. Yeah, he's pretty sus. Why is he looking at us like that? Maybe he was looking at the sun too much. Alright, he goes on to say, after the year 1500 or 1500, however you want to say that, if certain triggers are met, you might receive an event regarding this Teutonic Order, which may lead to the formation of Prussia, the von Altenburg of the Teutonic Order. That's the title of this event chain. The bio goes on to say this: the Teutonic Order was of special interest to us ever since the German people came to dominate the area of Prussia, without solidified control over the electorate onto other thrones. Of Europe, it just happens to also include the Teutonic Order being ruled by Hausmeister Dietrich von Rudberg. I'm not great with names, man. We could exert our power and integrate them closer into the administration of our dynasty's main domain in the electorate of Brandenburg. However, this could draw the attention of other powers interested in the region of Poland and make us a target. After the Teutonic Order was partially secularized under a cadet branch of the von Harsch dynasty in 1525, the Brandenburgian line was granted inheritance rights in 1563. The Duchy of Prussia was eventually inherited by Johann Sigismund, the Elector of Brandenburg, in 1618. This laid the foundation for the eventual formation of the Kingdom of Prussia in 1701. You can choose to align with them or focus elsewhere. Although you can also form it organically by expanding into the area, although the emperor may have a say in this, as historically happened. Here is the very dreamed of, the greatest of all time, the most classic paradox country, if you will, the OG Prussia. The form Prussia tab, right? It's nice. I'm so glad you're going to be able to form Prussia. I feel like that's kind of was one of the things that we should expect, though. Like, I mean, we should have expected that Prussia was going to come to the game. It just was. But it's good to see Prussia back in the game. It's nice. Love Prussia. The Prussian crown. As our great nation rises to ever loftier heights, Elector Stephen von Rischbeck has made it known that he intends to elevate Prussia to the rank of kingdom and himself to the rank of king. As a prince of the Holy Roman Empire, it would be untowered if we did not consult the emperor in this matter. And so we have written a proposal that he would be rise to consider carefully. We shall be kings. Okay, so I'm guessing in this, since you formed Prussia, you're no longer just a simple prince of the Holy Roman Empire. You're not like a duchy, right? You're now a kingdom, right? The size of your nation is a kingdom. So it's probably connected to that mechanic. And the mechanics of becoming a duchy to a kingdom to an empire is mainly tied with how much you have in population. So I'm guessing when you form Prussia I don't think Prussia will actually inherently boost your rank in king to duchy to king. I think because of Brandenburg and the Teutonic Order either coming together or the formation of Prussia, that country just has enough pop requirement to actually bring yourself to come from duchy to king. So, I think that just makes sense, right? The imperial tradition dictates that only kings in the empire should be the king of the Romans, that being the emperor, and the king of Bohemia. We have, however, reached an intriguing legal compromise with the consul Ludwig von Rischbeck. Our monarch shall use the title of king in Prussia, as Prussia lies outside the bounds of the Holy Roman Empire. We can name ourselves kings without any need for the emperor to break imperial tradition. Okay, so it's cool to have fluff to explain your rank and all that, to understand where the prestige of the Prussian monarchy comes from, where it's at, and who sits on the throne, and just if it's a kingdom and whatnot. It's cool to have history like that. We are now known as the Electorate of Prussia around the world. The Electorate of Prussia. It's not going to be called the Kingdom of Prussia. I guess they are part of the Holy Roman Empire. I wonder if that would change if they left. This is a lovely color, isn't it? It's beautiful. It's pretty. There might be some gray Prussians where they want just gray Prussia or black Prussia, white Prussia even maybe. I like this dark blue. You may now, he goes on to say, you may now figure that Prussia is a country with much more content in the late game. So I'm just going to show you some of it. But take into consideration that of the following events, the first one can trigger after 1530, the second after 1637, and the others in different dates after 1700, right? He goes on to show us this tab. The tab starts with financial prerogatives of the Frederick. We got our little homie here, Elector Stephen, who I'm assuming is now the ruler of Prussia. Our poor financial reserves leaves our electorate of Prussia in a precarious financial position. With few options being available to us in case of emergency, the burghers have now approached us with a proposal to elevate this problem. By granting them further rights over rural finances, they would lend their support in times of need. However, this privilege would further entrench the reliance of Elector Stephen von Richtbach on the burghers of Prussia. At the moment, we have no choice but to give in to them, but we should be very wary of opportunities in the future to revert the Frederick status. I just butchered that with not being able to pronounce some words, but that is hinting at, not even just hinting, that's telling us that it's like EU4, if you take something, if you get benefits from them, you're going to have to give something back to the burghers or, the nobles. In this sense, in this particular event, it's the burghers, right? And if you grant them the privilege that they want, you will get minus 10% tax efficiency, but plus 25% income from minting. I'm not sure how that would affect the game, but I'm not sure how that would change. But we shall see. Pietism in Prussia. We go on to talk about this post, in which it says, the Pietism and its representatives have a strong influence over the officials of Prussia. If we were to embrace their positions now and support their efforts, we could ingrain their morality into every corner of our society and lead a proper Christian life. Good for them. Let them be known as the Prussian virtues. That's an option. If you select that, you get the Prussian virtues policy, in which you get minus 10%, 0.10% stability decay. That's good. And plus 0.20% monthly control. That's great. Monthly progress to humanist plus 0.10%. That's probably part of the ethos system I was talking about earlier. This takes 664 days to fully implement. When implemented, none. I don't know what that means. The canton system of the electorate of Prussia. This is the next bit, I'm guessing. Our current methods of recruitment are no longer able to sustain our desired growth of the army. With each passing month, more and more complaints about the inhuman conditions of the recruitment system reach our court. While it is the natural duty of the Prussian subjects to serve the elector, there is some truth to the complaints, and if not anything else, that these circumstances hinder the reliable recruitment of soldiers. To this effect, the elector and his advisors drafted a new reform, the canton system. With this system, we could regulate recruitment and ensure a legal ground for the drafting of soldiers. This is an event option, I'm assuming. Yeah, it says here. You unlock the Canton system policy. And this is part of the ethos, right? We change societal values by 10%, by plus 10 towards centralization. The current is 60 towards decentralization. It's a bar, right? So imagine if you want to be going for centralization, you're minus 60 right now, right? If you want to go for centralization, you're plus 60, you're in the positive. This would take away this, right? So if you're going for centralization, it's no longer going to be 60% towards decentralization. It's going to be 50 towards decentralization, because you're chipping away from decentralization etho to decentralization etho. The monthly 0.11 towards decentralization, but I guess that's not how it's working. So it's going to actually be I was right. So it is going plus 10% towards centralization, though in the long term, it's adding slowly towards decentralization. That's quite interesting. You also lose 0.13 ducats. The Canton system gives you 15% manpower and 10% recruitment speed. Lmao can't. Oh my god, I can't. Lmao. I'm just not able to speak, I guess. But, I know this guy. A very famous writer, obviously. Lmao Kant publishes the prize essay. He is one of the most foremost thinkers of the Enlightenment and already received praise as one of the greatest philosophers of our time. He recently published his work Inquiry concerning the distinctiveness of the principles of natural theology and morality, and already commonly referred to as the prize essay. Despite his publications, Immanuel Kant remains dedicated to refining and publishing future work, pushing the boundaries of what we consider philosophy. What is enlightenment? The rise of Karl von Clausewitz. Ooh, this gets famous. We have received reports of a talented man in the service of our army, who impressed his commanders with his insight into the theory of war. This Karl von Clausewitz could serve our cabinet and army excellently if we choose to employ him. You should probably do that. You lose 0.06 gold, you gain 5% prestige. Military theorist, 0.05% plus for military tactics, plus 10% for possible frontage, and plus 20% for army initiative. This general is one of the greatest theorists of all time, and with the ability to use the theories in practice. Okay, so he's not only able to talk a good game, but he can make people kill a good game. That's great. Very talented individual. Did you know that the engine we used is named after him? Yep. I guess he's kind of like the Napoleon, but for Paradox. Some other content that you might get in the last 2 ages as well. The Soldier King of Prussia. Okay. The Prussian monarchy. This unlocks Prussian monarchy. Well, if you're already why is it called the Prussian monarchy? I don't understand this. How does that make sense? Maybe it's just a historical term. Oh god. Excuse me, it's like 2 a.m. I'm so tired. I just haven't posted a video in a couple of days. I need to keep this trend going, so. The Prussian monarchy, right? Country can only have one major reform at a time. Okay, true. The modifiers of this government reform, which is a major reform, is crown power, which gives you plus 20%. Monthly progress to quality is 0.10%, and monthly progress to offensive is 0.10% plus, right? Then we go down to a building type, which is called Sanzoshi. I don't know how to say that. It employs 50 people, and it gives you a plus 0.30 cultural tradition and 0.33 cultural influence. Requirements for the construction is 2 lumber, 2 tools, 2 glass, 2 fine cloth, 2 ivory, 2 gold, and 2 marble. Default building time will take 365 days, and building cost is a hefty 500 ducats. And he goes on to say, lastly, and that's all for today. It was an intense week, and the next one even more, since we will start publishing a second Tinto Flavor on Tuesday. Therefore, the schedule will be the following. Monday will be Tinto Maps feedback for Great Britain and Ireland, which by the time I'm recording, it is today. Tuesday is Tinto Flavor about something cool and other minor Indian countries. Wednesday is Tinto Talks about Hinduism, Jainism, and Sikhism. That's great. I actually look forward to that. Sikhism is actually one of my favorite religions. I'm not a Sikh, or whatever word you would say to represent a member of Sikhism, but I do find their religion fascinating. It's pretty cool. Friday, Tinto Flavor about Delhi. So we get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. They are delivering for the community. They really are working for the community, which is very respectable. You have to give Paradox that. They are reaching out to the community. They are reaching out to even small YouTubers. They gave them access, and they let them play the game. And I respect that, right? They very much care about our input. I think, obviously, they want to make money. But there are people in this company, especially modders they hired, right? But I would probably say most of the people in this company, if not all, they genuinely want us to have a good time playing this game. They want us to be playing this game for 10 years plus, right? They're probably prideful of this game that they're making, and I respect that. I respect that they're trying to reach out though, and try to fix the game in the sense that needs fixing. If there's any obvious problems that we can point out, just for them to get out of the way, so it's not a persisting, lingering thing that's going to need to be fixed in another 2.0 or 3.0 of the game, right? They're just the fact that they're trying to make it be released in an actual whole condition, just how it should be, how a game should be released completely done, is commendable. I guess maybe it's a little bit sad to say it is commendable. It should be the standard, but it's whatever. Most AAA games don't do that anymore, so just want to say respect to Paradox for that, right? Yeah, God, I'm so tired. Let's go to the comments, right? So Live By the Creed 77 says, to what Pavia said, Monday Tinto Maps feedback for Great Britain. He goes on to say, and Ireland, right? Right? And everyone's laughing at him. I agree with him. Where is Ireland? Where's Finland at? Can Ireland create Finland? Netflix 2 says, your name is very frustrating. Is there a difference in in-game architecture between Northern Europe and the Mediterranean? Good question. No feedback yet. At least I don't think there is. Is there feedback? Oh, okay, never mind. That's just his previous little thing. When you're watching okay, my bad. Meph said, when you're watching, I'm going to bed. Goodness.